What is up, everybody? This is Kevin David Rail from Fasting for Fitness, and I want to take this time to do a recap on my recent NPC Physique competition, XL it was called, down in Salt Lake City that occurred on June 10th. And I want to talk a little bit of shop about what I did in preparation for it, a little bit of the particulars behind it, and where I see myself going forward. So first things first, if you haven't liked my page yet, please do like it, subscribe to it, follow me, check out my videos, let me know if you have any questions or comments. I like to throw a lot of cool content out there, and I always will give you the truth and the straight dope at all times, and that's what I'm going to do today as well. So past 3 months, I would say March 1st is when I started really getting serious about my training. Before that, I was in basically maintenance mode through the winter and the late fall last year. So the advice that I have for any of you out there that are getting into physique competitions or bodybuilding is this. It is, don't spend the off season absolutely turning into a slug. I know so many people who just they do a competition, they build up to it, and then afterward, it's completely off the rails. They don't work out, they don't go to the gym, they don't do anything. Then all of a sudden, 4 months before an event comes, they're scrambling behind the 8 ball to try to get back in shape and do everything they can and pull out all these stops. There's this thing called peak week that everybody that is in the bodybuilding world knows about. And it's some people dread it and some people look forward to it, and everybody does it. And it's basically the week right before an event. And I had done a mass amount of research on this peak week thing and training protocols and stuff like that. And what I've come up with is everybody has a different opinion about peak week. Every single bodybuilder, every single physique competitor, every single figures competitor, females, males, it doesn't matter what you identify as. Everybody's got a different opinion. Some people like to carb cycle. Some people like to cut sodium, cut water, add water, take herbal water balance pills, eat a ton of asparagus, have chicken, broccoli, and rice for every meal, 6 times a day, 8 times a day. Honestly, in my opinion, this is absolutely 100% my opinion. It is all BS, 100% unadulterated BS. What you should do is stay in a maintenance zone when you're not competing, which means go to the gym regularly, eat clean, have a drink now and then, have some pizza, hang out with your girlfriend, be good to everybody, think happy thoughts, and be merry, but also don't neglect your body in the off season, in the off months. Still take care of yourself, work out regularly, work out hard, still think positive, and try to maintain as strong and fit body as you possibly can. Because then when you're 2 months out, 3 months out from a competition, then you can turn the volume up and go to the sprint and get yourself into a position where 2 weeks before the event, 2 weeks before the event, you are dialed, you are diced, and you are in great shape. And then the last 2 weeks, just stay in the maintenance zone and don't worry about all these crazy things you have to do on peak week, like cutting water and cutting sodium and adding potassium and doing all these crazy things. I feel like all of those things that people go through the final week are only because they don't take care of themselves in the off season as much as they should. Because they let themselves go and they're like, oh, I'm just gonna relax for 3 months and go on vacation and eat donuts at 12 o'clock at night and have nachos cheese platters for dinner. When you let yourself go like that, man, you're putting yourself behind the 8 ball every single time you do it. And the longer you go, the harder it's going to be to get back on the wagon again. And then you don't have to do the 2-hour workout in the morning and the 40 minutes of cardio in the afternoon, 6 days a week, and all that kind of crazy stuff leading up to the event. Just get yourself in a good position in the off season, and then the final 3 months, 2 months, that's when you turn the volume up, and that's when you go hardcore, okay? So that's my personal advice to you right now. And try to block out, unless you're working specifically with a coach, block out all those videos, all the content you read online and stuff about peak week and about bodybuilding, about physique competitions. I'm telling you, man, everybody is different. You are an individual. There are no two people that are exactly identical in this world. And what works for someone else who cuts water and cuts carbs and does all these things the last week, it may not work for you. You've got to do some experiments. Go out there and do some competitions and figure out what works best for you. And if you want to get a coach, that's totally fine. And I do coaching as well. But honestly, if you don't put the work in yourself and if you don't bring your A game at all times, you're not going to find it a rewarding experience. It's that simple. It takes a very different class of people to do competitions like this. It is a very selfish sport. I'm not even going to deny it. A lot of things suffer. Your relationships suffer with friends, with family members, with events, with holidays, your girlfriend, your wife, whoever your significant other is. There are going to be possible problems there. Just be aware of that. Alert yourself and just know what you're getting yourself into. Because it takes 100% discipline, and depending on how you want to do when it comes to the day of the event, you're going to have to make some sacrifices. And those around you are going to be affected by it. It's 100% fact. And the best thing for you to do is make sure you inform people, this is what I'm doing, I know it's going to cause some problems. Just be warned ahead of time and be there for them and say, just know that this is temporary. This is not going to be like forever. It's only when I'm in my competition phase, and these 3 months are going to be a little bit rough, especially near the end of it. You're going to be losing sleep. You're going to have energy levels all over the place. You're going to have mood swings up and down. There are going to be a lot of things going on. You're going to try to balance work and balance dieting properly and balance workouts and all these different things all blended into one. And it's not going to be a picnic at times. But you have to dig deep and keep reminding yourself, this is temporary, this is temporary. And when you sacrifice the holiday dinner at work because you have an event coming up and you bring a salad with you with salmon on top of it, and you eat that in front of everybody while everyone's eating like nachos, and I keep coming back to nachos because I like them so much, and tacos and hot dogs and burgers and chicken parmesan and all these different things you see at holiday parties, and big things of baked ziti, which I'm half Italian, so I love Italian food. When you see people eating that stuff, you've got to be able to smell it, look at it, and not eat it. It's that simple. Or else you're going to sabotage your efforts. All right, so these are just things I'm randomly throwing out there like Quentin Tarantino, and I'm just alerting you to it. Now, from my perspective, I was pretty much I was in good shape to start out. I started at like 192, and I ended, when I went on stage, I was about 174. I lost almost 20 pounds, 84 yeah, almost 20 pounds in a matter of 3 months. And that's because I have a killer instinct with my workouts. The reason I even did fitness physique competitions is because it dawned on me one day, I trained so hard, and people are constantly commenting on my physique and my body, and they're like, you're so, like, what do? Are you a triathlete? Are you a competitor or whatever? And I'm like, no, I just love fitness. I love exercise. I love experimenting with it. Obviously I'm into fasting because it's fasting for fitness. That's my jam. And I love to combine all the ingredients together to see how I could push myself to the highest threshold possible and still survive properly. So one day I'm just like, I need to start looking into physique competitions, because then I have an actual reason for all the hard work that I do. And when I went down that road, a lot of epiphanies hit me, and I'm just throwing it all out there right now at you. So for me, I cut my carbs down in about March. And when I say I cut them down, I call it carb-conscious. I don't call it low carb. I don't call it necessarily keto, except what I do is I cut away a lot of things. Like my girlfriend Jen is an amazing cook and baker, and she's always making these really healthy muffins that are high in fiber and high in protein and stuff, but they're still muffins, and they're still probably weighing about 250 calories a piece. And when I eat them, I feel elated. They're amazing. But sometimes I eat too many of them, and just having them around the house, they're a temptation for me. So she was so good to me the whole time and very supportive, and I love her for that. And she was like, she didn't make any baked goods for me. She asked if I wanted them, and I'm like, I think I better just stay cool for now. And now that my competition's over, she's going to start making stuff again. But those are the little things I'm talking about. A loved one might be offended by you by saying, I'm sorry, I don't want your baked goods right now, or I don't want your dinner. I'm going to eat dinner at home, then come over, or, well, in our case, come over. But if you're like married to someone or live with them, things like that are going to happen, and they may be offended, but you have to constantly tell them, this is not personal. Please don't take it personally. So be there for your loved ones is what I'm trying to get at. And I started going more in the keto direction. So there's this company I really like called Simply Delish, and they have these jellos and they have these puddings. And I would make them all the time, and that would satisfy my sweet tooth because I have a massive sweet tooth. Yes, 8% body fat all year round, massive sweet tooth, I won't deny it. But I forewent all of the baked goods. I didn't eat regular bread. I ate keto bread, keto buns. We would have dinner together quite often. And I remember we had Impossible Burgers one night, 25 grams protein each. And I got keto buns, 50 calories each. And 7 grams of fiber, 7 grams protein, 15 grams of fiber. It filled me up really nice. I had a salad and I had some steamed vegetables. That was my meal right there. And then I had some Simply Delish Keto Jello, which is a whopping 20 calories for the whole thing of it. And it fills you up because it's got a lot of volume. And then their puddings are like 100 calories, a lot of volume, low calories, high amount of fat, and low, like 5 grams of net carbs or something like that. And the only reason I did this is because I do fasting as well. And so I worked out in a fasted state the whole entire time. There was just a little bit of dietary tips that I did, tricks. I ate 2 meals a day religiously, minimum of 16 hours fasting every single day. Sometimes it was 18 hours, I pushed it. And then in the very beginning in March, twice a week, I was doing OMAD. I was doing 1 meal a day to really kickstart my fat loss. So basically what I tried to do is really get my fat loss going in the beginning. And then I wanted to get absolutely peeled by the time the event came. And I did. I was striated like you wouldn't believe, shredded. But that was what worked for me. I'm not telling you it's going to work for you. I do not believe in 6 meals a day, 8 meals a day, waking up in the middle of the night to eat cottage cheese. I love cottage cheese. I use it in my rotation of meals. but I don't think that eating 6 to 8 meals a day is the best approach to take anywhere ever, not even in the bodybuilding world either. I was trying to get super lean and ripped. Now, if I wasn't, I still could have went the fasting route. I probably would have done more of a 14-hour fasting protocol and done 3 meals a day. So there's a place for fasting everywhere on the continuum in the world of physique competition and bodybuilding, in my opinion. You just have to know how to do it and how to trigger it. And then if you stick like one OMAD day in a week, and then you did like 14 hours, 3 meals a day, you can still stay bulky and big and defined all at the same time without gaining too much fat. Another key thing is you don't want to eat late at night. I never ate late at night. I still don't. I was finishing sometimes 4:30, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. My first meal would be like 10 or 10:30, and that'd be it. Nothing in between, just water. I wasn't even drinking Zevia, which I absolutely love. That's a calorie-free soda alternative. I didn't even drink that stuff because it made me feel bloated, and it's a psychological thing. Sometimes you feel fat. Like if you eat a big salad and a lot of vegetables, a lot of volume and water in them, you might feel bloated, and you might say to yourself, oh, I feel so fat. And you may look in the mirror and think you're fat. You might actually think it, but you're not. You're just thinking that. And when you go to sleep and wake up the next day and pee a few times during the night, because a lot of that stuff has a lot of water content, you're going to be right down to, you're going to shrink right back down again, and you're going to feel great in the morning. And then rinse and repeat. I did that every single day for the whole 3-month span of time. And then my peak week wasn't really different than any other time that I was training. And like I said, I got to a point 2 weeks out where I was exactly where I wanted to be. And I'm like, I might need a little minor tweak here with my cardio or my workouts a little, and then I'm going to be good to go. So you get down to that 2-week point, get where you want to be, and then just a little bit of tweaking for the next 2 weeks, and you don't have to worry about the insane water ratio and like the carb depletion and the carb overdose and all those kind of things. Just stay in the maintenance zone. It's that simple. That's my advice to you on that one. What else do I have to tell you? So my body style, I'm 50, and currently, if you're watching this video a year from now, obviously I won't be 50 anymore. But right now, in the present moment, when I'm sitting on this chair, I'm 50 years old. I had the opportunity to compete in the 50 plus masters, 45 masters, 40 over masters, 35 over masters. If I went into the 50 plus masters, I would have been the only one. I would have walked out on stage, I would have done my poses, I would have collected my medal at the end, first prize. And I could have walked around town smiling saying, look, I won first prize. But in the big picture, I didn't like the feeling of that. It just didn't resonate. I was thinking to myself, that's a cheap victory. Like, are people really going to take me seriously if I competed against no one? And I mean, technically, that would have been the age range I should have been competing in. But I was the only person. I couldn't do it. So I competed in a couple different classes where it was literally all young bucks. They're like half my age. I was talking to a lot of 23-year-olds and 25-year-olds. And I was like, holy smoke, I got my work cut out for me. And these dudes were like thicker. They're as tall as me or taller. I'm in the 5'10" or over category. I'm 6 foot, about 6'3". And they were just like naturally bigger. And I'm like, I'm going to get my clock cleaned in these categories. And I didn't care. I'm like, but I need competition. I need to like know that I've actually competed when I went down here. I put all this effort in. I don't just want to walk on stage, be the only one, collect a medal and go home and brag about it, because people will call me out for that. And I'm like, that's not how I roll. I'm a competitor. I have a kindred spirit, and I'm a fighter. So I'm like, I'm just going to go in there and compete against the young bucks. Needless to say, 2 classes I was in, I got a 4th place medal in one class, and I didn't even come into the top 4 in the other one. And I'm okay with that, because I know when I look in the mirror that I like what I see, and I appreciate all the effort and the discipline that it took to get to where I'm at, and I will continually do that. And right now, I'm going to stay pretty much exactly where I am. I'm eating a little more carbs already, and my meals are going back to balanced. I like to call them balanced. And I think in the big picture, I tend to go a little more in the keto-like direction, but I call it carb-conscious. I don't think about like, oh, I can't eat like more than 30 grams of carbs a day. I don't go that direction. I just think of balance most of the time of year, except if I really think I need to chisel some fat down, I cut my carbs back a little bit. I go a little more in the keto direction, and I just melt it off like that. It works like magic for me. And that works for my body. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work for your body. And you don't have to go to the extremes I go through. And if you want to still eat 6 to 8 meals a day, by all means do it. I just don't believe that's the safest way to go for a longevity perspective. Because my whole goal is to stay as lean and defined as I can, and as healthy and mobile and spry as I can, as long as I freaking can. That means when I'm 40, when I'm 50, I am 50 now. When I'm 60, when I'm 70, when I'm 80, when I'm 90, when I'm 100, when I'm 110, I want to be all those things. For the age group I'm at, I want to be as lean, defined, and healthy as possible, physically and mentally, and I want to have all my marbles at all times. And that's where my line of work comes into. I study longevity. I'm like, what can I do to prevent the aging process, to slow it down? And that's exactly what I do. And I incorporate it into what I'm doing now. So my actual body style, I figured this out when I took stage this time around. I'm just not, I thought physique competitions might have been my niche. It might have been my spot, my calling. It just isn't. The dudes these days, they're just huge. They're thick. Their backs are like this. Their lats are like monstrous like this. I've got a really defined back and I've got a nice V shape and I can get shredded like nobody's business. Like in fact, I was probably easily top 5 shredded guys in that whole entire backstage area the other day, including the bodybuilders and like every class, every category you could think of. The problem is it just doesn't score you points with the judges. It's just not the way it works. They look for like more thickness and like defined abs but not super ripped. Some guys had a little bit of softness on their sides, but they were just like thick and just bulky. Shoulders like boulder shoulders and all these things. And I'm like, the epiphany came to me, like I'm just not cut out for it. So I'm not sure if I'm going to do another physique competition down the road. I'm just kind of like in a buffering stage right now and just seeing like where I fit in. It would be great if the NPC would create another division for guys just like me who do have a tendency to get super lean and ripped, like kind of more like the Bruce Lee look, and call it like extreme physique or like ultra physique or I don't know, Bruce Lee challenge or something along those lines. Make a reference to Bruce Lee even. For the dudes that are like bean poles and ripped like I can get. That would be super cool. I don't know if it's ever going to happen. It may or may not, and I'll just sit back and watch. But in the meantime, I'm feeling really good right now. I'm feel proud about what I've done and the achievements I've made, and I'm going to take it one step at a time and see what happens next. So I think I covered everything I want to cover as far as the competition goes. There's a lot of little particulars that you have to take into consideration when you're doing this about like getting tanning and like being there on time for registration, being there for meetings, and how the flow of the show goes and all those things. And when I first did it, I was like nerve-wracked the whole time and I was losing sleep. But this time around, I was as calm as can be going right up to it because I knew exactly what to expect, how to do it, how to lay it out, and it gets so much easier. So for all you guys out there that might have competed once and you got all nerved up about it, I promise you, if you do it again and again and again, it's going to be a lot more easy and you're going to be able to sail a lot better. So that's my whole take. That's my recap on the latest NPC physique competition I was in. Take that with a grain of salt. Let me know if you have any questions or comments as usual. Make sure to like and share my video, subscribe to my page, and please share with all your friends and family members. Till next time, this is Kevin David Rail reporting live.